folks, welcome back to the ABC Journeyman. I'm the Custard Prophet. We have left club number 5, Brackley Town. We got to the end of our 4 years, the maximum we could spend at a club with a promotion. And now, in today's episode, we are going to find our next challenge, our next job. So what I have for you is a little bit of a decision, which I want to see what you would make. So I've been offered some jobs. I'm going to see which of these jobs you might have taken. And then we'll see what I actually do and have a look at the new club. No idea what the answer is at the minute because I'm really not sure. So I'll be fascinated to hear what your take on all this is. Right, folks. Yeah. So let's lay out the scene first of all. We're at Brackley Town for 4 years. We got them promoted twice, and the last promotion was from the Vanarama North into the Vanarama National. So we've achieved well beyond what this club is going to be able to do. We've now got a reputation of 2.5 stars. That last promotion gave us a 0.5 star increase in our reputation. We've had 4 promotions over the course of our tenure as a manager across 5 different clubs. We've been sacked once. That's kind of where we sit. So looking for jobs. If you're not familiar with this save, the ABC Journeyman is essentially the more times I win a trophy, the more promotions that I get, the more letters of the alphabet that I unlock that I can go to. And so far, we've unlocked 4 of those letters. A was already unlocked, so we've unlocked all the way up to E. So we can only apply for jobs from clubs starting with A to E, which limits things somewhat. And often there are a lot of clubs that start with those sort of early letters of the alphabet, but this year not many of those jobs actually came up. So there were some jobs that looked like they might come up but didn't, and there were jobs that came up but they weren't within the range that we could go for. So for example, Harrogate came up as a job, and but we couldn't apply for that because we haven't unlocked H yet. So we had to wait for the right sort of jobs to come along, and there's 2 jobs that were available which kind of made sense, but I'm not sure about either of them. And let's have a look at what those 2 are. Job number 1 is this one. It's Colville Town. So they are in the Vanarama North, so the division that we have just left. So we would essentially be stepping back down again. The interesting thing that we have here is, there's a bit of financial issue, but the thing that really draws me to this job is the wage budget of 11.75k. This is way beyond the wage budget we had at Brackley, so we could potentially get another promotion with this club if we can get the right players in. They're a side that finishes just off the playoffs each time, and I think with the right players you could get this side promoted. But Brackley, we had a weak team really in terms of the overall squad, but finding the right players, and I've got players I could bring into this club which I think could make a difference and probably get promotion. Don't know if that would improve our reputation beyond the 1.5 stars, but it would be another promotion on our CV. And once we get that, we can move club straight away. If there's a minimum of 2 years, we can be at a club maximum of 4 years. They're not really expecting too much, but they are wanting to continue to challenge for a Vanarama North playoff place. So they are, they have got ambition. And because they've got ambition, they are going to keep that wage budget high, I would have thought, despite the financial issues. So that's job number 1. Job number 2 is Dover Athletic. Dover Athletic are offering a lower wage budget, but they are going to be at the same level. They got relegated from the Vanarama National last year. Finished 23rd, and they are in a financially good position, but they're not. But they're not particularly ambitious. They got relegated from the division above, and all they're wanting to do is not get relegated from the division below, which is an interesting one. So there won't be too much pressure on me, but are they going to be able to be ambitious enough to make a go of it in the Vanarama North or South, wherever they end up? You'd expect the South, but I don't think it kind of works like that in the game. So those are my two options. The other option is I go for neither of those clubs and I kind of wait and see what happens. What I want you to do in the comments before we go on to the next part, because I haven't done any of it, I don't know what's going to happen yet, I need to think about this long and hard, but before we do any of that, I want you to tell me what your decision would be in this circumstance. How would you go forward given the rules that we've got? Have a look at the job centre at the minute. And you can see, Brackley still haven't got a job. We can't go back there yet. Harrogate. Now, the interesting thing is, and might be something just to give you a little bit of a bit more information. Harrogate are finished 18th in the Vanarama National League. We can't go for them, but they offered me an interview. I didn't ask for one. They offered me an interview. So potentially, we are good enough to get to a Vanarama National League side now. So that is interesting. Does that mean we should wait? Yeah, it's a tough one, I think. But what are you going to do? And we'll find out in a second what decision we made, and we'll have a look around the club that we've picked. I'm going to be fascinated to see this. Right, make your decisions now. Right then, folks. Right then. We've moved on. You can see it's the 2nd of July, same year. So we didn't move on that far. Question is, did we take one of those jobs? We haven't actually accepted the job yet. But did we take one of those 2 jobs that we found? Or did we wait around for another job? Remember, we can delay 2 or 3 times before they say, no, you've got to make a decision. So what do you think happened? Well, I can tell you, we decided not to go for the Dover job. So the Dover Athletic job, the wage budget was actually less than we were on at Brackley, and the board were not particularly ambitious. So I felt that actually we wouldn't get the support we needed, and probably would find it quite difficult to bring in players of a sufficient quality to get promoted from that division. So I thought, maybe not Dover. I like, Dover for me is a club that I associate with the Vanarama National League, or the football conference. Or when I was a kid watching Burton play in those leagues, Dover was one of the conference sides that occasionally Burton got to play and lose against. So to me, they have a high reputation, and certainly are one of the bigger non-league sides. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think they've fallen down the leagues a little bit. But Colville, on the other hand, was an interesting one, and we'd seen how they had performed over last season. In fact, the last 2 seasons, they were right up there, and they were hard to play against. And the board of Colville were very ambitious. They were going to throw some money at it. We'd have a much bigger wage budget than when we had a Brackley, another sort of $2,000 extra. So we could really have put together a decent sort of set of players to potentially get a promotion. The problem I had with that job was the financial issues. They were in financial turmoil, and my worry was that actually the wage bill that I was given would quickly be taken away from us, and then we would have to deal with the financial problems at the club, which we never had at Brackley. We really managed the finances very, very well at Brackley. So all in all, I didn't take either of those jobs, and I was kind of thinking, well, if Harrogate would offer me a job, conference side, or didn't offer me, they offered me an interview, maybe I can get a job by just waiting around. And you're not going to believe the job that I got. You're not going to believe. I haven't accepted it yet, but we are accepting it. I'm glad I waited. And, we've struggled to make progress each year. When each job move, it feels like almost sideways moves. Well, this is the most opposite of a sideways move. It comes so far out of the blue, it's hit me in the face like a big wet fish. So we are not going to be moving to the conference because the job is higher than that. We're not going to be moving to League 2. The job's higher than that. We're not going to be leaving to League One. The job's higher than that. We are going to be in the Championship. Yes. But it's not the club you might have expected. It's not a club you'd associate with the Championship. And I think it's a very low reputation side who have somehow managed to get to the Championship, and they're looking for some sacrificial lamb to come in and get royally destroyed. Let's go and have a look what this job is, because it's a corker. I absolutely love it. Look at this bugger. AFC Wimbledon in the Championship. It's ludicrous. So what have we got to do? We've got to avoid relegation, be competitive in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Fine. Avoiding relegation is going to be tough in the Championship. One of the hardest leagues in the world to get out of. It's quite easy to get out of the wrong way, but very hard to get out of the right way. But we've done this with Burton. First ever save on the channel was a save with my club, Burton, and took them to the Premier League. So they're a very small club, similar size to AFC Wimbledon. So it is possible to do it in the game. It's not possible to do it in real life. So we've got a wage budget of 100,000k per week. I initially looked at the wage of 3.5k per week, and I thought, oh, that's a lot more than we're getting. That's actually my wage. So yeah, 100,000k, that feels a lot, but in the context of the Championship, it's probably not. We've got a transfer budget of 2.9 million. From going from not signing anybody to having a transfer budget of 2.9 million feels a little bit mad. So that's pretty nice. We've promised we won't put our name in for other jobs at the minute, and we'll improve our media handling. I think this could be a really interesting project for the next 4 years. If we can we get this side promoted in the next 4 years? If we do, surely we could get a Premier League job after it. Surely. Yeah, you believe me? AFC Wimbledon, I know some people will say, well, AFC Wimbledon, that's the W, isn't it? Well, I go with the first letter here. So, yeah, for me, it's an A. So what do they want? They want us to play defensive football. Direct football, we can absolutely do that. Counter-attacking football, we can do that. And sign young players, well, that's what we have been doing. Work within the wage budget, yes. And then don't give old players long contracts. We can absolutely manage that. Is there anything in here that's not to love? We are starting negotiations. We're just going to say, yes, we'll take whatever you want to give us. Happy days. Right, we are going to be manager of AFC Wimbledon. Here we are. I'm utterly amazed. Eyebrows have been raised in the world of football at the appointment of the 54-year-old, now 54, bloody hell, who has recently spent time away from club football. Well, really? Like a month? He's sure to face plenty of questions when he faces the media. I've got 291 wins, 112 draws, and 160 defeats, and won 3 league titles. There's 4 promotions in there. So, yeah, Brackley Town, Bowsen, those were the 2 big ones with me. We famously knocked Hartlepool out of the FA Cup in 2031. I don't actually remember that. I love this. I've never actually bothered to read this, but yeah, when you're deep into a save in a journeyman, you get a lot of fun stuff. Brian Jones was the player. I can't click on him, but he was the manager who was most likely to take over. But it was always down to us. So we are it's the Football Manager sponsored team, isn't it? AFC Wimbledon. So that's pretty awesome. Right. So they won. Did they win? Yeah, they didn't win the league necessarily. No, they just got promotion, so we're not sure. So they've done incredibly well to get where they are. Finances are okay at the minute. We've got this big old transfer budget, and we've got a reputation of 2.5 stars. We're predicted to finish 24th. You can kind of understand why. But remember, in real life, when Burton went into this league in their first season, they were only there for 2 seasons, the entire history of life in the Championship. Complete surprise they got there against teams that were so much bigger, so much better. We actually we stayed up. It is possible. It's going to be so hard, but it is possible. This is going to be a slog, a hard, disgusting slog, but it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be absolutely joyous bit of stuff. We've got the whole of summer to do the transfers. I'm going to be doing that, and hopefully we were going to make some absolute corkers to turn this team into one that can at least compete at this level. Right. Well, this is what we got. Below average everything, average youth recruitment. We want to up some of these things if we can. Right. Bodkin in goal. So what have we got here? What's the team look like? We know all this. We know all this. We know all that. So all we're doing in today's episode, we are going to have a look around the club, see what we've got here. Okay, we need a tactic. You can't really make a tactic until we've seen the squad. So what is this squad looking like? So we don't have a goalkeeper. That's the first problem that I've noticed. We have a young 17-year-old goalkeeper who is clearly not good enough, and we have Morty Bodkin, who didn't play last season, so not quite sure where their goalkeeper went, but he was playing in the Southern League Premier previously, so he's not really he's a backup at best. That's not great, so we need a goalkeeper. What else have we? Where's the strengths in this team? And there are, let's not lie, look like they've got some strong players, or a lot of players at a similar level, which is good. So we'll start at the back here. So this is our right back, so the strong right back. Now obviously I'm going to be a little bit kind of bamboozled by this because everyone is going to look brilliant, and I'm not really quite sure what level these are compared to Championship players, because it's been a while since I've been at this level. But on the face of it, this guy has good physicals, good mentals, and he's got the technicals of a right back. Right backs never seem to have particularly fantastic technicals, but he can tackle, he can mark, but he can cross. So he feels like he's going to be someone who can go forward. You think, wing back, full back on support, so he can do all of those roles. So I'm happy with that. We've got a right back, he can do the job. Looks like we've actually got a back four. Looking at this, we've got 2 centre backs. James DeBio, who critically isn't slow, good physicals, good strength. He's relatively tall, not ridiculously tall, but he's a little bit taller than I am. He's over 6 foot. Some of these could be better, but tackling a 14 feels good, and the positioning a 17 is something that looks very, very nice. So happy with that interesting Nigerian player. And he's been at this club for a little while. Bizarrely, he went on loan last season back to Nigeria, but did play regularly before that, so that makes very little sense. But I'm hoping he is going to get a start. Alongside him, we have Keelan Chilcott. Again, physically looks good. As a centre back, heading. Be nice if it was a bit bigger. So he's again not massive for a centre back, but he is able to head the ball. He's got pretty good jumping reach for his height, in all honesty. There's nothing glaring there that says this guy's going to be terrible, because even the things like off the ball, which is a relatively poor score, it's not really that relevant for a defender, and it's 6, so it's not terrible, is it? So defensively, and this rounds it off, Luke Chambers, I feel like he is going to be someone who is, I was going to say someone who is more likely to be a fullback, but actually, he can play as a wing back. He's got acceleration, got pace, and he can cross. So yeah, I quite like this player actually. He does look good. We've got a decent back line. Certainly, we've first choice back four. We've got that there. Nice. Then in midfield, we've got two ball-winning midfielders. One slightly better than the other. Nicky Malt. He can mark and he can tackle. Great. So we can win the ball back. He's got good work rate, good determination and good stamina. So he's going to go all day and he's not going to tire. That's really important. Last thing we want is someone in this position who's going to be tiring. And alongside him, we've got Xavier Simons. Again, worth a reasonable amount of money. Not quite as good as Nicky Malt, but look at that leadership at 16. Might have a captain in the making there. And then we've got a decent player on the left. It's not a bad first 11, in all honesty, what we have here. Goalkeeper aside, again, look at the pace that we've got here. Pace and balance, those things go so well together. He's a little tricky winger. He can dribble with it. He's maybe not as good as he could be. And he can cross it. What more do you want for someone who is on the left side? He can play as a winger on support. That is exactly what we're going to be doing with him. Nice. Looks like on the other side we have Lively Walcott. Again, so much pace in this side. So much pace. Really like it. Down the wings. We have to use those wings because that is going to be where we create all of our chances. You can kind of see why they did okay. Technique 16, aggression is 16, but look at the pace there. Another little tricky right winger who can also play up top. It feels like we've got a couple of good players, and then the Karim Seth is most likely to be playing up top, but finishing at 16. My God, I don't mind this guy. The work rate could be better. We need someone potentially either just behind him or just alongside him, and I'm not quite sure what the best thing to do is. But what I was expecting and what I've got are two very different things. I think yes, we need to bring in more players. We need to hit the loan market, I think. I think there'll be a lot of players that we can bring in on loan that can really beef this squad up. We can potentially get a really good young Premier League goalkeeper to come in as our first choice goalkeeper and have Morty Bodkin as a backup. I think we could get maybe a really good ball-winning midfielder. A really good playmaker. I think we're missing creativity in the middle of the park. That feels like we're missing, and we're also missing, I think, someone who can play just behind. So in that number 9 role, someone who can play just behind the striker, but also back up for the striker and actually back up across the board. I think, I'm pretty happy with that. I think the main thing there is the goalkeeper and a bit of creativity in the middle of the park. That's the problem. You've got Joshua Lyons, who I guess is supposed to bring in that creativity, but he's got some attributes there. Technique and passing are good. Vision is pretty good. So he's not a terrible player for that. And you could certainly do a job, but I think we could do better there, in my mind. What do you think? What would you do with this team? I'd be fascinated to hear how you would get the best out of this team. Where would you be looking to improve? Clearly, there's a couple of places which need improvements, but have you noticed some other areas? Let's have a look in the development centre. Is there anything in there that could, or anyone in there that could be sort of plucked out? Doesn't look like it really. No, nothing in the youth of the club. Staff wise, I think we could do better as well here. We're pretty much the lowest of the low, so we do need to improve our staff as well. So that's fine. We'll sort that out. We've got some time to do this. I'm excited by this job. This is the perfect sort of job. I was kind of worried that we were progressing so slowly, but this has kind of put us right back on track. Right, folks. So next time out, we're going to be coming back for our first match of the season. Who is this going to be against? Is it a goodie? It's going to be away against QPR. That seems very scary. We'll talk through the transfers we've done and the formation that we've put together. for that, but it gets harder and harder. Look at that. West Brom at home, Southend away. That feels maybe a game that we should be getting something out of. Season preview, right? It looks a bit scary. Southend. I mean, we are so much of an outsider here. It's ridiculous, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be good. I am motivated for this. I hope you are too. If you did enjoy this episode, please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you for the next one, where we are going to be having that first match with AFC Wimbledon, club number 6. Let me know what you think. Goodbye.